Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, the third child of the Queen, and the world's most famous mama's boy, because everybody says that he is the Queen's favorite child or favorite son, has come out and spoken about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. He's come out denying not only having any sexual relations with Virginia Roberts when she was underage, but he's also denied even knowing who she is, going so far as to say that the picture taken between the picture taken with Virginia that Prince Andrew took with Jeffrey Epstein's madam in that photograph, Ghislaine Maxwell, he went so far to suggest that that picture was photoshopped. I mean, this is at a time when, photoshopping was done by some very intense, powerful individuals. Photoshopping in those days was no easy thing. And he's saying that it's photoshopped. He says that the picture of him with Virginia is obviously him, but what he is suggesting and what others have flat out said is that that picture is photoshopped. This guy, when watching him in this BBC Two interview, BBC Newsnight, British broadcasting company, he is the worst liar I have ever met. I have seen 3-year-olds lie about stealing candy out of a cupboard, lie better than Prince Andrew. This guy could not look the interviewer in the eyes when he was telling an obvious lie. He looked uncomfortable. I mean, he says that he's never sweated before, or he had a disease which caused him not to sweat. I don't know. Maybe that is true. After all, the royal family is a family which is famous for marrying their cousins. So all these diseases and illnesses, hemophilia, all these crazy things that they claim to have may just as well be true. But one thing in that interview really stuck out to me, and it really shows and highlights the sheer, just complete oblivious nature of the establishment. When asked why, after Jeffrey Epstein had been convicted of being a pedophile, of running an international sex trafficking ring, which was exclusively young girls, with Ghislaine Maxwell being the madam, why is it that when, after being convicted, you not only visited with Epstein, but you went and you stayed in his mansion in Manhattan? Prince Andrew didn't deny being in the mansion. In fact, what Prince Andrew said is that, quote, it was convenient at the time. It was convenient. It was just convenient. So this is the Duke of York, somebody who is in line to be King of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, saying that, I have the money to stay in any hotel in New York City that I would like to. I could stay at Waldorf Astoria. I could stay at Trump Tower. I could stay at, heck, you could stay at the Motel 6. But he chose, out of all these beautiful places, Waldorf Astoria, the Plaza Hotel, all these gorgeous places that he can afford. It would almost be like if Prince Andrew decided to take up a residence at the presidential suite at the Plaza, that would make any deal to his finances. That would be like me. That'd be even worse than me staying at the Motel 6. It'd be even more convenient for him financially than if it were for me to stay at the Motel 6. But it was more convenient for him to stay at a convicted pedophile's house. Now, what does that say? He's saying he's denying all this stuff, but really he comes out of this interview looking worse. Who says something like that? Who does that? Even if you wanted to say, no, I wasn't there. I never stayed there after that. I talked to him because I went to New York City and I told Jeffrey we can't see each other again because, you know something, you are a convicted pedophile and I cannot see you again. And then he can lie about saying he was in the house, but no, he said, no, I was there. It was convenient for me. What does that say about this guy? Either he is a pedophile or he's an idiot. But he can't. He's one or the other. There's no way he can escape being one or the other. So that is Prince Andrew right there. His reputation is ruined, and I would say that if he ever steps foot in the United States, he's going to be served with a subpoena. He'll have to appear before court. But the British aren't going to do anything to him while he is in the UK, because that's just how the system is right now. I mean, even in this age of Me Too and all this stuff, I mean, that's just how it is. Now, it looks like another royal is getting away with sexual crimes. And this has gone back way even before the Queen's time. I mean, sexual crimes within the royal family go all the way back to God knows when. I know a famous royal, Prince Albert Victor, who very much reminds me of the Duke of York, Prince Andrew. Albert Victor, who was the late... He was actually heir. He was set to be the next king, but he died early, which left his younger brother George V, who was king during World War I and the present queen's grandfather. But Albert Victor, who is the brother of the queen's grandfather, was actually investigated, or back in those days, there was more sycophancy to the royals than there is now. I mean, back in those days, they wouldn't even talk about anything bad about the royals. I mean, it was known by law enforcement that he would attend gay brothels, which is not a problem, except the fact that those who were serving the connected, the powerful, and the wealthy were young boys. And one of those customers was Prince Albert Victor. He could have been the queen if he hadn't died of typhoid or whatever he died of. Another crazy thing is Jimmy Savile, who was a great friend to the royal family, and he is a dirty, rotten pedophile. There's something about the royal family and pedophilia. Not to mention the fact that many native children from right here in my country of Canada are still missing even today, right after the Queen and her husband, Prince Philip, visited the very residential school which they attended, and shortly after visiting that school, and shortly after they were sent out into the woods or the forest for God knows what. They've never been seen since. So what is it with this demonic, evil seed of a family? Maybe that's why they're allowing Meghan Markle to stay there so long, because she fits perfectly in with them. But Prince Andrew, being on that interview, saying that Jeffrey Epstein's house, he's a convicted pedophile, and for him to be in New York City and staying at this man's house, and then later now saying that it was the most convenient option he had, is beyond ridiculous to me. It's beyond ridiculous to me. Something needs to be done. He needs to be investigated. He really does. The next time you see Prince Andrew at any event, whether it's a charity club or some military function or some walkabout or riding playing polo or playing golf or playing squash or whatever, doing some bird shoot, whatever. The next time you see him, you protest him, you heckle him. Even you want to throw eggs at him, you can do it. Don't hurt him, but you protest him. This has to stop. He can't get away with this. We can't let these people get away with this. So the next time you see, I don't care if it's at a children's hospital. I don't care if it's at, a charity for old people. I don't care if it's opening a road, we protest him. Make it known that this isn't going to go away for him. And we're on to him. And we know what he's about. And we know what his family's about. And protest the Queen as well. Because this guy is her favorite son. And she's not doing anything about this. If my son or my daughter was to ever stay at the home of a convicted pedophile, they'd be out the door in 2 seconds. I don't care about friendship. No child of mine, no one associated with me is allowed to be friends with any pedophile. And then all of a sudden, when they've been found out, you're so gobsmacked by their by them and their actions. You want to completely be as far away from them as possible, even when they were convicted, you were close with them, you stayed at their home, and all this sort of thing. If Prince Andrew was really telling the truth about his reason to go to New York City to see Jeffrey Epstein after he was convicted, that he was going to tell him, look, we have to part company, he would not have stayed at the man's house. If I'm going to part company with somebody, and they live in a different country from me, and I have the money to stay anywhere I want, I'm going to go there. And first of all, I wouldn't go there. I would tell them over the phone. Hell, I'd tell them over Facebook. I'd tell them over a pigeon carrier. I'd send someone to tell them. But okay, if I go and I tell somebody that I don't want to have anything to do with you, I want nothing to do with you, you slimy, disgusting nonce, I don't want to have anything to do with you. And I decide I'm going to go there, which I wouldn't do, but I go there and I go tell him or her, whatever. The last thing I'm going to do is stay at their house. For even 2 seconds, I wouldn't step foot in their house. I'd stand up by the sidewalk and tell them, I ain't never seeing you again. I'll never see you again. And then I'd go along my merry way. I can stay in a hotel, I can stay wherever I decide to stay. There's something going on here with Prince Andrew. And we need to find out what it is. This isn't over by a long shot. And I commend news organizations like RT, Russia Today, and other independent media for continuing to cover this very serious story. We've got stations in the West like ABC, CNN. In fact, there's a Project Veritas video out right now where Amy Robach of ABC is complaining that ABC shelved a story on Jeffrey Epstein and Virginia Roberts, who says she was attacked by Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein because it would hurt their reputation with the royal family. I mean, this is her saying this. She didn't know she was being taped. So the media, it seems like they're trying everything to stop talking about this issue. So I commend those who, even when Prince Andrew's not in the media and Jeffrey's not in the media, those news organizations that continue to cover this story, and those independent channels on YouTube and all other parts of the internet which continue to cover this very serious story. And this is the Arana Nation.